What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's Sean. I know y'all haven't seen us in a while, but Thanksgiving is coming up. The holidays are coming up. So I wanted to show you guys how I prepare my turkey for the holidays so that it can be juicy and all your guests will love it. I do a brine, and so I'm going to show you how I do my brine. I have an orange right here first. I need to cut this up, and I will cut this up and then I will show you what I use and how I prepare it. So I'm gonna cut this orange up, but what I will tell you while we're cutting this orange is when you do the brine, you want to make sure that you, excuse me, I'm a little congested. You want to make sure that you use kosher salt. You don't want to use table salt. We do use salt, and you want to make sure that it's kosher salt. And not table salt. Now, when you do this, you can omit herbs that I put in here. You can add herbs. I typically do add garlic. I don't have it today. Whole garlic cloves. I don't have it today, but that's something that I typically use. And so I have this orange right here, and I'm done cutting this. So I'm going to get my herbs, and then I'll come back and show you guys what herbs I have and what seasonings I have. My seasonings I do have, and also for the purposes of this video, I'm using chicken, but you can do this with any meat. You can do it with your turkey, you can do it with chicken, but I'm not eating turkey before Thanksgiving, so I decided to do it with my chicken. And so the seasonings that I have is a cup of kosher salt, whole peppercorn, sage, thyme, rosemary, fresh bay leaves, and then that orange that we cut up earlier. All right, so now that I have my orange all sliced up, I have a pot here, and I'm going to take my salt and put my salt down in the pot, my peppercorn, and your herbs that you have, you can put them in the way that they are. Remember, this is going to boil, so they're going to all break up anyway. You're going to put your herbs down in there. I did rinse my herbs and pat dry them for the sanitary people, the people that are going to judge me and say they didn't see me clean it. I did clean it, I just did it off camera. And so my rosemary is going to go in, and my fresh bay leaves, and then my orange I'm going to put down in there. And so I'm going to fill this up with water, and then we're going to put it on the stove, and we're going to let this boil. Okay, so we're going to fill this up with water. We're going to show you that. We're going to put it on the stove. We're going to let it boil. And then after we put it on the stove and let it boil, then I'll tell you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so we're going to put our water in here. And what you want to also keep in mind is you want to make sure you're going to put cold water in here. You want to make sure that you put enough water in here because it's going to boil and some of the water is going to boil out. So you can put it to about right here. If you want to do a little more, you can do that as well. And so we're going to just fill it up with water, and then I'm going to put it on the stove. Once I get it on the stove, I'll come back to you guys and tell you what we're going to do next. All right, so now that we got our pot on the stove, we have it on the stove already. So you want to put it on high, and you want it to come to a rumbling boil. You want to make sure that your salt dissolves in the water. And once the salt dissolves in the water, you also want to make sure you're going to start smelling those herbs as it begins to boil. Once those herbs start smelling, you're going to smell them. It's going to smell the whole house up. It's going to smell phenomenal. And once you smell all of that, you're going to let it boil for about an hour. Sometimes I do a little longer, like an hour and a half. It just depends on what type of time that I have. The darker the brine is, the better. But you can let it go for an hour, hour and a half. And once that boils for about an hour, hour and a half, you're going to turn it off and you want to you can let it, the best thing to do is let it get down to room temperature, and you can add, or depending on how much brine you have left, you can add cold water on the top of it. But I typically like to just let it cool down to room temperature and then add some ice into it. And if you need some extra water in there, you can add some cold water from the faucet or from your Brita or however you want to do it to it, because you want to make sure that it covers the meat. So while I'm waiting for my brine to boil, you want to make sure I'm going to clean my chicken. I'm not going to do that on camera because I assume that everybody knows how to clean the chicken. But if you're using turkey, if you're using chicken, you want to make sure that you clean your meat just as you would before you put it in the oven if you were not doing this. Because once it comes out of the brine, you want to make sure that it's clean, because you're throwing it in, you're putting it in the oven. We're not throwing it, we're putting it in the oven. So you want to make sure you clean your turkey very good, clean the cavity, clean under the meat, clean, do the whole cleaning procedure for your turkey, for your chicken, or whatever meat that you're using prior to putting it in your brine. So while I'm waiting for that to boil, I'm gonna go ahead and clean my meat, my chicken, my whole chicken, and make sure that it's clean, make sure it's cleaned all up the way I need it to be. And then once our brine is ready, I'm going to show you how I'm going to put it in there for it to begin to marinate in that brine. So I'll see you guys back once our brine. All right guys, so we back. Our brine has boiled, it's down to room temperature. I put the ice in there. I'm going to show you guys what that looked like. But before I do that, here's my chicken that I cleaned while our brine was boiling. So I want to show you guys how you should put your meat in when you put it in, so you can make sure that the brine gets down in one of the key components of the meat. For me, I'm a dark meat person because I don't like white meat like that. It tends to be dry. With this brine, it's not going to be dry. So I'm going to, but you want to make sure when you put it in the bowl or the pot or whatever you're putting it in, you want to make sure that you turn it breast down, and you want to put the breast down at the bottom of your pot or whatever you're putting it in. And so now that that's down at the bottom, we're going to take our brine and we're going to pour the brine over this piece of. So here's the brine. As you can see, it has darkened a little bit. Like I said, I put the ice in there. You're going to leave all your herbs and everything in it while it's sitting and brining. You're going to leave all this in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to pour it over our chicken. So we're going to go ahead and pour this over our meat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a spoon and take the rest of this and sit it on top. So I poured all the brine over it. I have all this herbs and everything on top. So I'm going to put a lid on this. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. You're going to put it in the refrigerator for, I do a minimum of 2 days before I cook it. You can do 3. The longer the better, but I'm going to do 2 days. And when you pull this out of the brine, which I'm not going to record, but when you pull it out of the brine and you look at your breast is going to start turning almost the same color as the brine, dark like the brine. And that's how you know that it's penetrated down in that meat, and you're going to have a nice juicy turkey for Thanksgiving. So I also forgot to tell you guys, some people, like I'm doing a small chicken today, so for storage purposes I can keep it in this pot. It'll fit right into my refrigerator. But if depending on the size of your turkey, you may have to find a unique way to keep this cold. You definitely want to keep it cold. You want to make sure this stays cold. You don't want any bacteria growing. You don't want to get yourself sick or your guests sick after cooking this because of some sort of foodborne illness or anything. So you can put your turkey. When I have a really big turkey, I get a big storage bag. It's one of those big Ziploc storage bags. And I get that big storage bag. I drop my turkey down in there, breast first, and I pour the brine on it. I seal it up really good, and then I get a cooler. And I put ice at the bottom of that cooler. I put the turkey in the cooler while it's in the bag, and I fold the bag down, and then I put ice on top of it. And every day I make sure that there's ice in there. If I need to add ice, if I need to dump the cooler, if the ice melted, and I add more ice to make sure it stays at temperature. You want to make sure it stays at temperature. You want to make sure it stays cold. Like I said, I can't emphasize that enough. This has to stay cold because you don't want your meat to start getting foodborne illnesses, salmonella, E. coli, different things like that. So those are your options that you can do if you want to do that. You can also, if you have a cooler and you feel comfortable, if you have like a styrofoam cooler or something like that, and you want to just put the turkey in the cooler without the bag and put the brine on top, and then just put ice on top, and then keep adding ice every day, you can do that as well. I don't necessarily do that because my cooler is not a foam cooler or a disposable where I can throw it away. It's one that I can reuse, and I don't want to put raw meat in that cooler. So that's why I do it that way. But you can do whatever works best for you. You just want to make sure it stays at temperature. If you have room in your refrigerator, the best thing to do is to put it in your refrigerator. When I do the cooler too, if you have a garage, if you have a basement or somewhere in your home that is typically cooler and a cooler place, you can keep it down there as well. That'll be great because it'll help add to the cooler temperatures so the ice won't melt as fast. And so again, this is how you brine your turkey. This is going to get you a juicy turkey every year. I never really ate turkey like that because I wasn't a big fan of it. It was very dry, but I swear by this brine ever since I've been doing this, because I actually got this idea from someone from my church. I have been doing it every year, and now all I eat is turkey. So I promise you this is going to make a difference in your turkey, and you want to make sure you do it. Once you try this recipe, come back to the video. I want you to like the video now if this was helpful. If you like this video, like it so I know. I may come back before the holidays and do more of some of the dishes that I do. If you guys want that, comment down below. And also when you try this recipe, come back to the video, comment, let me know how you liked it, if it worked for you, if your turkey turned out juicy, if it still became dry. You definitely want to make sure though when you do this that you don't overcook your turkey, because if you overcook your turkey, it's still going to be dry even with this. But if you cook it based on the instructions to the right temperature, you're going to get a juicy turkey every time. Now when you take your turkey out or your meat out, you want to season it as normal. You want to make sure you season it as normal on the skin. Whatever seasonings you put on there, you butter it down, oil it down, however you do it. You want to make sure you still do that. That doesn't substitute for the seasoning. This doesn't substitute for the seasoning that you're going to put on your turkey or your meat before you throw it in the oven. So again, like this video, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank y'all for watching, and I'm looking forward to hearing those stories about how your turkey turned out for Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter, because some people do turkeys for Easter as well. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.